Zimbabwe versus Uganda. Which country is better to live, work, invest, or visit this year? Are you planning a trip to Africa and now you're wondering about the main differences between Zimbabwe and Uganda? Well, then you came to the right place. There are so many things to do in Zimbabwe and Uganda, as both are dazzling tourist attractions, good business destinations, and so on. However, Zimbabwe and Uganda are quite different in many aspects. On the one hand, Zimbabwe is a landlocked country in South Africa, known for its dramatic landscapes and diverse wildlife, much of which is within parks, reserves, and safari areas. On the Zambezi River, Victoria Falls makes a thundering 108-meter drop into the narrow Batoka Gorge, where there's whitewater rafting and boogie jumping. Downstream are Matsudona and Manapus National Parks, home to hippos, rhinos, and bird life. On the other hand, Uganda is a landlocked country in East Africa, whose diverse landscape encompasses the snow-capped Rwenzori Mountains and immense Lake Victoria. Its abundant wildlife includes chimpanzees as well as rare birds. Remote Windy Impenetrable National Park is a renowned mountain gorilla sanctuary. Murchison Falls National Park in the northwest is known for its 43-meter tall waterfall and wildlife such as hippos. That said, let's put these two countries on a scale and see which is better in terms of economy, infrastructural development, standards of living, and quality of life. But first, if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our videos.
Let's take a look at the geography.
It is vital to note that the countries of this area should be taken into account when comparing the country to another. This is so because it's appealing to live in big, open countries that might provide residents and tourists greater options. Forests are a big part of a country's landscape and overall ecosystem. The percentage of land covered by forest has a key role in removing pollutants and cleansing the air.
The percentage of land dedicated to agricultural use.
African countries are definitely known for their agricultural prowess. Considering demographics,
the population of a country is the nation's and people's beating heart. The population density indicates how crowded or dispersed the population is,
which may be disturbing in a situation of infrastructural underdevelopment and bad economy, as poverty and crime would be soaring over the population.
The annual rise or decline in population is reflected in the average population growth rate.
The population of the globe is now increasing at a rate of 1.07% annually. The average life expectancy at birth is the number of years a country's people is projected to live. This statistic indicates total life satisfaction. Now, the population of a country is affected by two key factors: the birth rate and the death rate of that country. The death rate, also called the crude death rate, represents the country's number of annual deaths per 1,000 people at mid-year. On the other hand, the birth rate, also known as the crude birth rate, refers to the annual number of births per 1,000 people, calculated mid-year. It is one of the main factors used to determine the population growth rate. The age of the population also matters to the development of a city or nation. Cities or countries within the younger populations have usually better development perspectives. The economy of any country represents a large set of interrelated production and consumption activities that aid in determining how scarce resources are allocated. As such, the production and consumption of goods and services in any economy are used to fulfill the needs of those living and operating within it. If a country has higher GDP over another, with other parameters, physical and climatic, being at par, that would imply that such a country is producing more goods and services, and therefore consumers can enjoy more goods and services in that region. The GDP being a measure of an economy's worth and production. It measures the market value of all the final goods and services produced annually. Both these countries have considerable public debts. What is known as public debt or national debt refers to the sum of all government borrowings owed to lenders within the country. And by dividing the total GDP by the population of the nation, the GDP per capita is determined. A greater level of living is indicated by a higher GDP per capita. Now on to the real GDP growth rate, which represents the year-over-year GDP growth rate. It is calculated by taking into account the price fluctuations caused by inflation. One other factor affecting the economy is inflation. The inflation rate represents the annual price increase for goods and services, indicating a decrease in the purchasing power of a country's currency. The economy also is influenced by the unemployment rate of each country. Low unemployment rates indicate more suitable career options, and economic growth as opposed to high unemployment economies. What is the income tax rate? What is the country's minimum wage per month?
The youth unemployment rate is calculated as a percent of the total youth labor force.
The total amount of public expenditure on education also affects the economy. Public spending on education includes direct expenditure on schools, universities, and other types of educational institutions.
Now let's take a look at their infrastructure.
The infrastructure represents the physical and digital systems on which a country thrives. Road infrastructure, for example, are very important for ensuring the smooth running of a country's economy and living standards. The total length of a country's paved and unpaved roads reveal her roadway infrastructure. We cannot talk about roads without talking about airports.
The presence and number of airports shows a good connection of city with different international destinations.
The number of citizens in a country having direct or indirect access to the internet indicates how well developed the internet infrastructure of that country is.
Electrification rate is the share of population with access to electricity in both rural and urban environments.
Standard of living. The degree of wealth and material comfort available to a person or community, as well as the quality and quantity of material goods and services available to a given population within a confined territory is generally regarded as a standard of living. Starting with obesity. A body mass index of 30 or higher indicates an obese adult. Obesity raises the chance of developing chronic diseases, and is a public health issue. Percent of population living in poverty.
With access to improved drinking water sources, such as piped water or protected wells.
Clean and potable water, as with many African countries, is quite not accessible to this population, either due to scarcity or poor water treatment infrastructure. Country's Human Development Index. In other words, how happy are the people? What is the Global Peace Index of this country? What is the literacy rate? Finally, on school life expectancy. It represents the number of years of schooling that children are expected to complete. School life expectancy includes primary to tertiary education. That's it. That is where we will pack our bags for today's video. If you enjoyed the video and found it entertaining enough, do well to give it a thumbs up and let us know your thoughts about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our new uploads.